God's message for your heart is more than a series of videos. It is a journey for every soul that has felt broken, tired, forgotten, or alone. In the days ahead, we will walk together through pain, faith, prayer, hope, and God's unfailing love. Every message is a reminder that God sees you, hears you, and is working in your life even when you cannot see it. So open your heart, listen carefully, and let these words speak to the deepest part of your soul. Welcome to God's message for your heart. The night God called your name. English. Tonight is not an ordinary night. Maybe it looks ordinary. Maybe the world outside your window seems exactly the same as yesterday. The same streets, the same sky, the same routine. Yet something inside you feels different. There is a quiet ache in your heart that words cannot fully explain. A longing, a question, a feeling that there must be something more than what you see. Perhaps you have carried this feeling for months, perhaps for years. You wake up every morning hoping that today will feel different. You tell yourself that tomorrow will be easier, that next week will be better, that someday everything will finally make sense. But the answers never seem to arrive as quickly as you hoped, and little by little, disappointment begins to settle inside your soul. Not because you stopped believing, but because you became tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of wondering whether heaven still hears your voice. Maybe nobody knows how much you have cried. Maybe nobody knows the battles you fight when nobody is watching. Maybe nobody knows how many times you almost gave up. But God knows. He knows every hidden tear, every silent prayer, every sleepless night, every fear you never spoke aloud. And tonight, before anything else is said, He wants you to know one thing. You have never been alone. Not for a single day. Not for a single moment. Not even in the darkest night of your life. The night God called your name. English. There is something about pain that changes the way we see life. When everything is going well, faith feels easy. Hope feels natural. The future seems bright. But when disappointment arrives, when prayers remain unanswered, when doors close without explanation, everything begins to feel different. You start asking questions you never asked before. Why is this happening to me? Why is God silent? Why do I feel so alone? And perhaps the hardest question of all, does my life truly matter? Maybe you have asked that question before, not because you wanted to give up, but because you were tired. Tired of carrying burdens, tired of being strong, tired of fighting battles that never seem to end. Sometimes, people see your smile and assume everything is fine. They see your strength and assume you never struggle. They see your calmness and assume you never cry. But God sees beyond what people see. He sees the tears behind the smile, the fear behind the confidence, the loneliness behind the laughter. Nothing about you is hidden from Him. Not your wounds, not your doubts, not your questions, and certainly not your value. You may feel unnoticed by people. You may feel forgotten by the world, but you have never been forgotten by God. Before anyone knew your name, He knew it. Before anyone believed in you, He believed in you. Before anyone loved you, He loved you. And that love has never changed. Not because of your success, not because of your perfection, not because you always made the right choices. His love remains because that is who He is. Many people spend their entire lives trying to earn love, trying to prove they are enough, trying to become worthy. But God's love was never something you had to earn. It was given freely. Even on your worst day, even in your weakest moment, even when you feel far away from Him. Imagine standing beneath a sky full of stars, thousands upon thousands of lights shining in the darkness. Now think about this. The The God who placed every star in its place knows every detail of your story. Every heartbreak, every victory, every disappointment, every dream. Nothing is too small for him. Nothing is too broken for him. Nothing is beyond his reach. And maybe tonight, that is exactly what your heart needs to hear. Because the enemy of your soul wants you to believe you are forgotten. He wants you to believe that your story is over. He wants you to believe that nothing will ever change. But those are lies. Your story is not over. Your purpose is not finished. Your future is still being written, even now, even in this moment, even while you wait. Sometimes God works most powerfully in seasons that make the least sense. Seasons of waiting. Seasons of uncertainty. Seasons when nothing appears to be happening. Because while you see silence, God sees preparation. While you see delay, God sees timing. While you see an ending, God sees a beginning. And one day, you may look back on this season and realize the moment you thought God was absent was actually the moment he was closest. The tears. God never ignored English. There are tears people see, and there are tears nobody ever sees. The tears that fall late at night. The tears hidden behind a locked door. The tears you quickly wipe away before anyone notices. The tears that come when your heart can no longer carry the weight alone. Perhaps you know those tears. Perhaps there were nights when you stared at the ceiling and wondered how much longer you could keep going. Perhaps there were moments when you felt surrounded by people and yet completely alone. Moments when your heart was screaming, but your mouth remained silent. Moments when you wanted someone to understand what you were carrying. Someone to notice. Someone to ask. Someone to care. But nobody did. And little by little, you began carrying everything by yourself. The disappointment, the fear, the unanswered questions, the memories that still hurt, the wounds that never fully healed, the dreams that seemed to disappear. You carried them all, and some days you carried them so long that they became part of you. People saw you functioning, but they never saw how hard it was. They saw you showing up, but they never saw the battle it took just to get out of bed. They saw your smile, but they never saw the storm inside your heart. Yet there is one who saw everything, every tear, every sleepless night, every silent cry, every prayer whispered through trembling lips. God saw it all. Not one moment escaped his attention. Not one tear fell unnoticed. Not one cry was ignored. Sometimes we assume that if God truly cared, he would immediately remove our pain. But often, God does something deeper. Instead of removing the storm immediately, he walks with us through it. Instead of taking away every struggle, he gives us strength we never knew we possessed. Instead of changing the situation first, he begins changing us. And that change becomes the miracle. Think about the people in Scripture. Many of them cried before they triumphed. Many of them waited before they received. Many of them suffered before they understood. Their tears were not proof that God abandoned them. Their tears were part of the journey. And perhaps your tears are too. Maybe what feels like the end is actually preparation for a new beginning. Maybe the chapter that hurts the most will eventually become the chapter that strengthens you the most. Maybe one day you will tell your story and realize that the very thing that almost broke you became the thing God used to transform you. Because God has a way of bringing beauty from ashes, hope from heartbreak, purpose from pain, light from darkness, life from places that seemed completely dead. So if your heart feels heavy today, do not be ashamed of your tears. Tears are not weakness. Sometimes tears are evidence that you kept going when quitting would have been easier. Sometimes tears are proof that your heart still cares. Sometimes, tears are the language of a soul speaking directly to God. And God understands every word, even the ones you never said aloud. If this message touched your heart, stay with us for part 2. Because the next chapter reveals something powerful. Why God sometimes allows waiting before the miracle arrives. And trust me, you will never look at your waiting season the same way again.